The shotgun blast echoed like thunder across the cornfields, but it wasn't aimed at me. Not yet. Dad's voice cut through the smoke, raw and venomous. You think you're one of them now? Some fairy prancing around like the world's owed you a parade? Get out before I make you regret every breath you've stolen from this family. I stood there in the kitchen doorway, my heart pounding like a freight train off the rails. The words I just whispered, "I'm gay, Dad," hanging in the air like a noose tightening around my neck. That was the night the farm swallowed my truth whole. The old wooden floors of our Iowa homestead, worn smooth by generations of Harlan men who broke their backs for the land, suddenly felt like quicksand under my boots. Mom's eyes, usually soft as fresh-churned butter, hardened into shards of glass, and my little sister Ellie, just 13, buried her face in her hands, whispering, "Please don't say it, Seth, please." But I had said it, and in that split second, the boy who'd spent 25 years mending fences and hauling hay to earn their scraps of approval became the ungrateful son, the one who'd spit in the face of God's plan, as Dad put it. They didn't throw me out with a duffel bag and a curse that first night. No, that would have been too merciful, too American dream tidy. Instead, they buried me alive in silence. Breakfasts turned into ghost meals where forks scraped plates like accusations. Dad's rants about those Hollywood perverts ruining the heartland became arrows aimed at my chest, each one landing with a thud I pretended not to feel. Mom took to leaving Bible verses on the fridge. Leviticus 18 verse 22. Underlined in red. "You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination." Ellie stopped calling me big bro and started avoiding my eyes, like I was contagious. I kept working the farm, dawn to dusk, because what else was there? The endless rows of corn stretched like prison bars under the big Iowa sky, and I'd lose myself in the rhythm of the tractor's rumble, pretending the sweat stinging my eyes was just from the sun. But at night, in the creaky attic room that smelled of dust and forgotten dreams, I'd stare at the ceiling cracks mapping out escape routes that never came. Freedom? In Harlan, Iowa, population 1,200, where the annual fair's highlight was still the pie-eating contest. That word felt as foreign as the rainbow flag I'd seen once on a protest march in Des Moines. It was the summer of 22 when Austin rolled into town like a storm cloud with a silver lining. He was a freelance photographer from Chicago, all sharp angles and city polish, hired by some AG co-op to shoot the real America for a glossy spread. I spotted him first at the feed store, leaning against his rented Jeep, camera slung over his shoulder like a six-shooter. His hair was sun-bleached blonde, falling in waves that begged to be touched, and his smile, God, that smile, cracked open something in me I'd boarded up tighter than the storm cellar. "Need a hand with that?" he'd asked, nodding at the 50-pound bag of seed corn I was wrestling onto my shoulder. His voice was smooth, like gravel under tires on a back road, laced with that Midwestern lilt that said he wasn't a total outsider. I grunted a thanks, my cheeks burning hotter than the July asphalt. "Seth Harlan, local muscle." "Austin Reed," he replied, extending a hand that was calloused in all the right ways. Not from plowing fields, but from chasing light across urban sprawls. "Heard this town's got stories worth 1,000 frames. You got any?" We started small. Coffee at the diner on Main Street, where the waitress, Mabel, eyed us like we were plotting the apocalypse over her weak brew. Austin talked about Chicago's pulse. The pride parades that shut down Lakeshore Drive. The hidden bars where men like us could breathe without apology. I shared scraps. The way the fireflies lit up the back 40 like stars fallen to earth. The ache of harvest moons that promised change but delivered dust. He listened, really listened, his green eyes steady as a compass, pointing me toward horizons I'd only dreamed of. By August, those coffees turned into stolen evenings. We'd park his Jeep on the bluff overlooking the Mississippi, the river snaking silver under the twilight, and talk until the stars pinned us in place. One night, as cicadas hummed their symphony, he brushed his fingers over mine. Tentative, electric. "Seth, you don't have to hide here. Not with me." And just like that, the walls I'd built crumbled. Our first kiss tasted of river mist and rebellion. His lips soft but insistent, pulling me into a world where my heart didn't have to whisper. Falling for Austin was like discovering color after a lifetime in sepia. He dragged me to his motel room to pore over his photos, raw shots of queer kids in Milwaukee alleys, elders holding hands at San Francisco memorials, and I traced the lines of his stories with my fingertips, memorizing the map of his scars. A botched coming out that left him couch surfing at 16. A lover lost to the opioid wave sweeping the Rust Belt. Love's a risk, he'd say, his breath warm against my neck. But it's the only gamble worth losing everything for. Word spread through Harlan like wildfire in dry grass. Dad caught wind from Old Man Jenkins at the co-op, who'd seen us laughing too close at the gas station. That Sunday dinner was a powder keg. The table groaned under fried chicken and green beans, but the air was thick as smoke. Dad slammed his fist down, silverware jumping like startled birds. He's been sniffing around you, hasn't he? That city boy with his fancy camera and devil's agenda. You think I don't see it, Seth? The way you slink off like a thief in the night. Mom's voice trembled, a plea wrapped in prayer. Son, the Lord's testing you. Fight it. For us. For the family name. Ellie fidgeted, her fork pushing peas around her plate, but she wouldn't meet my gaze. Betrayal's first cut came from her silence. The little sister who'd once sworn we'd run away together to see the ocean, now complicit in their cage. I stood, chair scraping like a confession. It's not a test, Dad. It's me. And Austin. He's the first real thing I've ever had. The words hung there, defiant, but my voice cracked on the edges. Dad's face twisted, red as the barn paint peeling in the wind. Real? You're a disgrace. Ungrateful after all we've given you, this land, this roof. Get out. Now. He grabbed the old family Bible from the sideboard, hurling it at my feet. Pages fluttered open like wounded birds, landing on that cursed verse. I left with nothing but the clothes on my back and a backpack of regrets. The gravel crunched under my boots as I walked the mile to Austin's motel, the summer stars mocking my tears. He was waiting on the steps, cigarette glowing like a beacon. I heard the shouting from here, he said, pulling me into his arms. No questions, just that steady hold, the kind that says you're enough. We fled to Des Moines that night, the Jeep's headlights carving paths through the dark. Austin had gigs lined up in the city, and I crashed on his buddy's couch, scraping by with odd jobs at a warehouse. The romance bloomed fierce and fragile. Lazy Sundays at the farmer's market, his hand in mine as we navigated bustling sidewalks. Whispered promises in the glow of his darkroom, where negatives revealed truths the daylight hid. We're building something unbreakable, he'd murmur, his fingers threading through mine like roots seeking soil. But the heartland doesn't let go easy. Letters arrived like ghosts. Mom's scrawled apologies laced with scripture. Dad's typed ultimatums demanding I repent or rot. Ellie called once, her voice small over the crackle of the line. He hit her, Seth, after you left. Says it's your fault for tempting him with your choices. My stomach dropped. Betrayal twisted deeper. They'd poisoned her against me, turned my absence into ammunition. The climax hit like a twister in October. A call from the sheriff. Dad had a heart attack in the North Field, clutching the plow like it was his last anchor. Come home, son, the voice crackled. He's asking for you. Austin drove me back, his grip white-knuckled on the wheel. You don't owe them this, he said, but I did, or thought I did. The farmhouse was a husk, curtains drawn, air stale with regret. Dad lay in the hospital bed, tubes snaking like accusations, his once broad frame shrunken to bones. Mom hovered, eyes hollowed by nights of prayer vigils. Ellie clung to my side, whispering, I lied to protect you, but I miss you, Seth, every day. Dad's eyes fluttered open, locking on mine with that old fire dimmed to embers. The farm, it's yours, always was. I was wrong to. His voice broke, a cough rattling loose the words we'd both choked on. Forgive me for silencing you. It wasn't absolution, not fully. The years of barbs, the nights I'd cried myself raw, they lingered like frost on the fields. But in that sterile room, with beeps marking time's cruel march, I saw the man beneath the monster. A farmer raised on fire and brimstone Sundays, terrified of losing his legacy to a world he couldn't bend. I forgive you, Dad, I said, the words tasting like ash and release. But I can't stay, not like before. He nodded, a tear carving a path through the stubble on his cheek. Go then, live loud, for both of us. We buried him under a gray November sky, the corn stubble whispering elegies. Mom sold the farm to a corporate outfit, said it was too big for her hands now, and moved in with Ellie's family in Cedar Rapids. Ellie hugged me fierce at the graveside, her whisper hot against my ear. Take care of Austin. And yourself. You're not ungrateful, Seth. You're brave. Austin and I headed west after that, chasing the California sun to a little bungalow in Oakland. No more hiding in shadows. We planted roots in a neighborhood alive with rainbow crosswalks and block parties where love wasn't a dirty word. He shoots for queer mags now, capturing stories like ours, raw, resilient. I work at a community center, helping farm kids wrestle their own silences, reminding them that the heartland's heart beats wider than fear allows. Some nights, as the fog rolls in off the bay and Austin's head rests on my chest, I think of that shotgun echo, the Bible's torn pages, the river's endless curve. Betrayal carved me hollow, but love, Austin's quiet strength, Ellie's tentative bridge, filled the spaces with light. Dad's gone. Mom's a phone call away, her voice softer these days. No one's left to control me, but I've learned control's an illusion anyway. Freedom isn't running from the storm. It's dancing in it, unapologetic, until the rain washes you clean. In the end, the ungrateful sun didn't shatter the family. He mended his own. And under these Pacific stars, that's legacy enough.